So, for anyone who doesn't know, I've been super addicted to Stellaris as of late, and I end up on these like 6, 7, 8 hour long playing sprees. And I usually don't get that far, and I don't usually do a lot, but I figured if I'm going to play on one speed and think about all this careful roleplay nonsense and, basically just chill out, I may as well chill out with you as well. So we'll swap it on over here. And it's gonna be a slow play. Basically, we're gonna play it on one speed, we're gonna read out everything, and we're gonna really try to get into the nitty-gritty of like imperial politics, or galactic politics, at least within our sector. In order to do that, I've been kind of debating on what I want to do with it, what I want to play. I have a ton of species I've already made just for my own play because I like to kind of know who I'm dealing with going into it. So if I'm against any of these, I immediately go, oh, I know this one. I know their story. I know their motivations. It's a bit more interesting than, random alien species number 23, you know? But I think my OG were torchbearers, and they're always fun to play, and I've gotten slowly better at their kind of pacifist play style, but I'm still trying to get better. I played the game on Ensign. I'm very basic like that, with kind of normal aggression, sometimes even lower aggression, honestly, but last game I did that. It wasn't as interesting, so we'll see. No advanced AI. The only advanced AI that will spawn are scions, or not scions, hegemons, and lost colonies. But yeah, other than that, I primitive civilizations, as I think they're interesting. Um, Usually my habitable worlds is at 1 times, or even none sometimes. Pet costs are normal. The mid-game start year is 2250, and then end game is 2375. These are pretty early for sure, but when you play as long as I do, it's kind of necessary because I haven't played a game to end game crisis in a really long time. So I'm hoping to be able to do that with my favorite species that I've ever made, of course, my fun little torchbearer. So we'll go ahead and do that. I play on a lot of nations on a very small map. I just find that the most interesting. Yeah. So the torchbearers are kind of this very shroud-like race. The shroud in this game is like the warp in 40k, or just the ethereal dimension and other things. It's where the source of telekinetic power comes from, and it's influenced a lot of the galaxy and what it does. Oh, that music's very aggressive. I did turn up the music and ambience, and I turned down advisor volume and effects, so it's mostly going to be music and ambience. But yes, they are a... I can go to a more chill one, my goodness. Oh, I should have made a custom music player. Ah, whatever. It should be okay most of the time. Um, but they're this pan-dimensional species who are trying to get away from the Shroud. They believe it to be a kind of dangerous thing that you have to be wary of. So in that regard, they've gone to another galaxy away from it. And for those who don't know as well, the Shroud was also an endgame crisis in previous patches, and can still be a crisis if a certain nation does a certain set of events. So they're basically on the run from that, but their big thing is that they like to tell stories. They like to open migration treaties, trade agreements, and borders so that the stories that they can tell of their people, of galaxies they've been to before, and just knowledge is an open and free thing. Very pacifistic, very defensive, and very much based around their incredibly strong orbital habitats. They're called void dwellers. So they primarily live in space, and they only get bonuses if they're in these void dwelling habitats. Otherwise, if they live on planets, they get big negatives. So we'll go ahead and start. I also believe I have hyperlane densities fairly low. I like choke points, so I don't like it when a nation is like having to defend 8 different choke points at once, even though it's really small. Especially in the case of the Void Dwellers as we go on, and you'll see they're not really built for... they're not really built for, what's it called? They're not built for a big military, so having that is very difficult. So defensive platforms and few choke points are definitely the things we want to go for. We start off with a very small fleet, and hopefully we shouldn't need to really do much about it. Of course, we'll take off auto-generate. I hate those designs. And we'll be making a classic gunboat and picket ship to start out with. Or no, not laser. There we go. The picket ships take out shields, and the missile boats largely ignore shields or do damage, specifically to armor, is the idea for this. We'll also be building 2 kinds of defensive platforms, one with a heavy emphasis on pickets and hangars, and one with an emphasis on large weapons and missiles. Oh. Great fat fingering there as always. If it seems like I'm doing a bunch of things fast, I wouldn't really worry about it. Hopefully you can just kind of sit back and you know, let the game do its thing. There we go. We're all set up for the start. Like many nations, the first thing we're going to do is discovery. We can swiftly find as many places as possible. Building an additional giant ship and creating mining stations for our energy credits and minerals. Cool. Alright. We have actually our first event, Wanderlust. The head of the Torchbearer's physics research department has gone missing, along with their privately funded, highly experimental prototype science ship. The incident has the scientific community at Stormwall in an uproar. Kind of a very random thing to start off with. I'm used to the first person I have to buy being an admiral. Very curious. Well, it seems like that Wanderlust had a purpose, though, as the whereabouts of the head, now technically the former head of the Physics Research Division, has yet to be ascertained. Certain details regarding the prototype science ship and the head's private research have reached our ears, and while some aspects seem too fantastical to be true, it is clear that it is in the Torchbearer's interest to find and recover the chair as soon as possible. Oh, fantastic. Hey, Erica, welcome. I'm sure you know as much as anybody that I've been playing this game a lot, so it's cozy stream time. I just got done with RP as well, so I don't want to be too stimulated. I just want slow pace, chill times. You know how it be. Inevitably, the game will become not slow-paced chill times, but, you know, we'll deal with that when we get to it. The discovery of alien life. The ST Clearwaters has made a startling discovery on Alien. The planet is teeming with alien life. For the first time in history, we've encountered life forms that did not originate on Stormwall. This amazing discovery has silenced those who believed we were alone in the universe. Although none of the alien creatures found on Million 3 are sapient, it's likely only a matter of time before we encounter beings that are. We get there when we get there, it's true. We burn their bridges after we cross them, as everyone knows. Although in this case it's hyperlanes. Sadly, our hyperlanes actually seem rather poor. It's going to be quite difficult to handle these. The priesthoods on Stormwall have a generally favorable reaction to the reports of complex yet dumb organisms found on alien planets. The findings did spark some interdoctrinal debate. Is this proof that the Void Dwellers are the lords of all within creation, or have we simply not yet encountered our brethren from beyond the void? We have recovered artifacts from an ancient alien civilization on Million 5. If what we have learned from these artifacts is correct, this civilization was some sort of confederation that consisted of many different alien races. They called themselves the First League and appear to have coexisted in relative peace for some 2 million years ago. The Nullian system lies in the region of space that seems to have made up the core of their territory. A partial map found among the artifacts indicates that the First League may have covered a significant portion of our galaxy before its eventual collapse. We now have to choose first contact protocols, as our recent encounter with alien lifeforms has reignited and made suddenly more urgent the old debate on how we should approach contacting any potentially intelligent alien civilizations we may meet. While some advocate focusing on establishing friendly relations as quickly as possible by contacting them with a message of peace, others advise caution, pointing out that we cannot know whether alien minds bear ill intent towards us, and that it would be unwise to let them know too much about us before it is necessary. Well, I think we shall greet the Xeno with open arms. Yes? Ooh, and an archaeological site. Fantastic. Fellow xenologists are practically falling over themselves to publish their takes on the recent findings of alien life. This fevered storm in the scientific community has had some negative, yet temporary impact on pursuits in other fields. Looks like, yes, all of our mines are done, so now we're going to be focusing on building starports. We have an ancient survey marker. A small short-range emitter has been located on the surface of Million 5. It appears to be an ancient survey marker placed here eons ago to mark a large deposit of precious metals. The miners it was meant for evidently never arrived, as the deposit is still there. Well, fantastic. Even more reason to build a starbase there. So these starbases are going to cost us alloys, which are made up of minerals, and influence, which we gain kind of just normally throughout the game. In regards to discovery, it basically lets us map the stars quicker and to discover anomalies. Anomalies are like the thing that this science ship just went through. I don't know if... No, I'll point them out in a minute. You find them fairly often. Like this! The light phenomenon. An unknown phenomenon has been discovered near Deepstrom, causing light to be frequently reflected and occasionally even entirely blacked out. It's rather challenging, and at this early stage of the game, I kinda want to focus on exploration, so we'll leave it be for now. The previous one I did was, I believe, to discover the First League in the first place. Sort of like anomalies, archaeological sites like this. Massive storms. Yep, we'll do that one. Only 84 days. Now this, for example, is an ancient battle site. Scans of Elon 3A have revealed an area packed with refined material and scattered radiological. Although little is visible from orbit, to find out more we will need to investigate the site on the grounds. Seems we made first contact with enigmatic currently recall them Theta aliens. And we'll greet them with open arms and find out what they want. Storm 1 frequently experiences massive and extremely violent storm systems in its atmosphere. Several dozen persistent storms are visible from orbit, with winds often reaching speeds in excess of 700 meters per second. The cause of these storms is not immediately apparent, as we have found nothing in the planet's climate model that would explain them. Plus there's science and teaching. And we have a comet sighting. A classic paradox thing. Kind of an in-joke with all of their games. You'll find a comet shooting and people either react negatively or positively depending on who they are. I haven't talked about it much, but we do have habitats. Habitats are where void dwellers dwell, as it were. Here in Tempestua, we have Stormwall, Xeno-Tech, quite a strange name, and Glimmer. And they all kind of do different things depending on what kind of districts we can build in them. So the Empire capital, generally like this, has quite a few research districts. So we generally focus on this one for research, whereas Meandmaker has an astro mining bay. And Glimmer has a reactor district. So we will be focusing on that. Or, if we do well enough in trading with other species, we won't need to make our own energy because we can buy it from other people for free. Auto-surveying is nice, but occasionally they tend to survey in the same direction, so turning them off of them, going elsewhere. And generally, I tend to stop at around 4 science. There's usually only about 4 ways to go, and then many branches from there. So hopefully we shouldn't have to go with too many more. But yes, welcome to the early game. Not a lot of politics. This early game is more about shaping your core sector, essentially. Figuring out where you want to make your major bases, refining your capital world to be a little bit better. Stuff like that. Thankfully as well, it tends to go fairly slow. Growth, much like real life, is exponential. So you'll start very small, and as you get bigger, you'll get bigger and bigger and bigger at a pretty insane rate by the end of the game. But really, we don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about the things that we can mostly just chill at this in the game. A small docking hatch leading to the interior of an asteroid. It's gonna take 250 days, like I said, we'll save it. After a while, when they survey a lot, they'll begin to gain levels. As you can see here, they are skill 2 out of 7. Each race has a different skill cap, and certain things that happen to them can increase or lower their skill cap, or their skill in general. Once we get a level 3 or 4, we tend to start doing the more challenging anomalies, as they'll do them much faster. And with 4 science ships, and now 4 scientists, it should be rather easy. Oh, I will have to wait for this one though. I hope I keep the archaeology one though. Alright, we have an update on the Theta alien. They seem to lay claim to the Jupiter system, with at least one large starbase in orbit around the primary star. We have not seen any evidence of planetary bastions, and do not yet know whether these beings are favored by the spirits or depraved servants of darkness. We should do what we can to decipher their language. So it seems like they have a starbase there, but what I want to swiftly do more than anything is put a starbase here. I want to make sure they don't build a starbase within our sector, as it were. Otherwise, we're going to have to deal with a war on our hands pretty soon. If they're an aggressive species as well, we'll have to deal with a war anyway, but we'll try to curtail that while we can. Seems that on me, which is somewhere around here, can go to it in the top right, thankfully, is harboring exotic gases. A useful later game strategic resource, or advanced resource, I believe they're called. We've encountered in Ramas with the tall alien. Get another species. Investigate. But the Gimel aliens, however, they seem, yeah, large heat blobs as opposed to a species as we traditionally know it. We will look into this monolith as well. Oh yes, these. They look vastly more organic. And they're gone. At this moment, I'm considering whether or not I want to get more consumer goods. The jobs on these planets are based, which, since we're not trading a lot, are going to cost us a lot of consumer goods. So making this mining outpost also kind of a center of consumer goods production is certainly an option. We'll also add some entertainment jobs to keep the place happy. And then make more minerals so that we can use them to create more consumer goods as well as alloys. It's not a perfect stability right now. We're still kind of, as a species, figuring it out, sadly. Working on it. I'll also be adding another district there, for example. It seems like they finally found the name for it. Those strange things are actually Taki. Or Tiyanki. And they are a place for of a. You can imagine them like whales. There's an archaeology one, thank you. We'll actually keep him here for now. In fact, we'll go research that anomaly. Kind of give him some time to build up his stuff. Oh, we actually established communication guild. The mutagen merchant. They're in the flump system. Somewhere. Can't go to them just yet. Trade away some of our excess resources. Fantastic. Oh, there they are. The interesting thing about enclaves like this is that they harbor on one extremely powerful space station, but you can still build things around them. They're kind of like bit actors. The mysterious tall aliens continue to though they look like long-faced horses. I guess we're hanging out. Fun. Thank you for the pop. Something probably disconcerting to hear in space, but that's okay. So in order to exploit these archaeological dig sites, they do have to be within our starbase. So the next two starbases I'm focusing on will be in Yilan and Orval. Now that one cost more because it wasn't adjacent, but when we actually build it, have an adjacent star system here, it'll be 75 and 10. Now, when a place generates minerals, it's put into the stockpile. So if another planet has an alloy maker, it can use the minerals from another planet or habitat in this instance in order to use them. Not only exploit them, but use them for manufacturing, as it were. It also seems like we've encountered a primitive civilization on Vernier 3. And there's currently primitive. If I were to build an observation post over them, I would be able to study them for a lot of social research, which is the second tier here. Or even end up exploiting them in some regard by making them a puppet, much like with my own ideology. So, that's actually a precursor quest, that'll be good. Precursors are, there's I believe 5 in the galaxy, and many people in similar sectors share them. Oh, it seems like there's another anomaly in where we just were, I feel. There it is. Seems like there's a breathing rift. It retracts and blocks light, but seems to actually draw in and out rather than push it out. It's like the photons themselves are... We'll keep a close eye on it. A special project like this, we actually just spend the points we make from our own search are dangerously right now, if I'm honest. You're not making nearly as much science as I'd like. We are continuing communications with the Theta aliens, who I believe are going to be... If I am right, I'll tell you them. Right now we're just ensuring that it discovers pretty much any system we can. Now, like I said, auto-surveillance, or auto-survey is good, but it's occasionally worrisome in how many sectors it'll miss, for apparently no reason. But quite interestingly, it looks like this whole area is locked off, so if we get getting all of this, possibly. It means we'll have a lot less to defend as well, which is very good. Oh, the receptive. Fantastic. And with the ending of this tradition tree, we get our first ascension. These are essentially game-changing. First one we're going to get is Voidborn. Makes us fantastic, our habitats are so much better, and we'll be able to research into making them even better. And one of our leader died because it's like the Tal alien actually seized one of our vessels. Kind of fun. We're going to ignore that for now, and hopefully not in the future. Though they did seemingly kill. Or any other science ship leaving this area would be going with a small escort. Really, the Tal aliens aren't to be. Whenever I hover over these habitats and I decide what to do with them, I look at two main things. It's housing and available jobs. If there are more available jobs, then I'll usually just wait and kind of let the game fill it up with population. For example, we'll be getting, in 27 months, another population to fulfill one of our jobs, one of 5. If there's low housing, obviously we have to build more housing. You can get housing from any of these districts. They'll give you 3, but city districts will give you 8. And if you do mercantile traditions, you get clerk jobs and other bonuses, aside from housing. As you can see, we're finally completing some of this. Oh, yep, there it is, Guilds of Old Porterton. Guildmistress Auber, and the wealthy of the Guilds of Porterton. Good to meet you. This is certainly a momentous occasion. Seems like there's a routine anomaly, which we'll be investigating as it will only take. So here in Dora's star is Porterton, and you can't see it, but it's a planet on the verge of annihilation, as it were. It's tearing itself up from the inside, and the people of Old Porterton have to learn to find another place to habitate. A part of their origin, the Doomsday origin, is that they don't spawn any or near any habitable planets, so they have to go fairly far to find something that will be good enough for them, or they'll have to get lucky and find an event planet, like an old precursor planet. Or even build habitats, potentially. It also seems like there's a bunker bot. We've traced unusual electromagnetic radiation emanating from Karma 6A, to a secret subterranean bunker hiding a mega-computer the size of a battleship. We can scrap it for parts, we can use it to store inventory, we can let it continue its own mysterious calculation. Personally, we'll be using its technology to modify our own engineering. But it's only for 10 years, let me think. Personally, I feel like tradition is more important right now. Tech boosts we can get later, that's okay. Prosperity is a great early game tradition for building up habitats or planets, so we'll actually be taking them. As well as having a lower build cost and a faster build speed. Found more aliens, hopefully they'll be a little nicer than the Taw. They seem to be hostile right off the bat, but hopefully our ships will dissuade the Taw from attack. Own ship. Good for tact, does it? We might be able to catch it before it jumps. Although, it did emergency jump before we could get there. As the ST tributary approaches the Gargantua black hole, they find that at the edge of the event horizon, it soars, reflecting light from the stars being drawn into the dark, gaping hole, a gigantic construction in the shape of a sphere. We cannot pick up signals from it, nor does anything we send respond. It simply sits at the edge of this. it would appear that the tall aliens are something called a Alliance. These are individuals who, from their birth, have known a giant dragon. We're going to be cautious of them as they did attack us. But in Taiyo, there is a giant, possibly even the one I just discovered here, who has been influencing their civilization from the start, but they've never been able to properly communicate it. They revere it as a god, but it's one of those things more about fearing God rather than loving God. So the Bushido alignment tends to be rather hostile and okay. Oh, right, I lost the other one because of the... Forgot about that. We are hoping to cut them off here as well. Getting the 8 power, 2 minerals, and 3 industry is good, as well as cutting them off from growing stronger. We could instantly build to this location, but it would cost more influence than we could hope to make in that time. So, shall see how it goes. These are the Zekplot Forerunners. They're something known as a Fallen Empire. They are ancient and old, and vastly more powerful than our species can possibly imagine. I've never been able to beat one. These Forerunners are likely to be very nice. They're one of the few Fallen Empires that are kind, as a fanatic xenophile. They see other species as worth taking care of, although they're still quite, say, self-righteous about their cause. Looks like we have a new ambassador, although who becomes the ambassador is not much of a... Oh, it seems they got Rama, so... Sad but fair. This individual has a mandate that is good to solve, or, what am I... It'll make our... what's it called? Let's see if I can find it. Consumer goods production, so we're trying to up that. It'll give us more unity, as you just saw. One moment. Sorry about that. Rowdy felines are fighting outside the door. But yes, if we fulfill these mandates, it'll make people more, how do you say, agreeable. Some mega corporations like them are special power to build, what's it called? Branch offices on other worlds, so that they benefit from having good diplomatic relations with you. Seems that the giant sphere we found earlier is a calculator, which we will of course be looking at. None of our buildings need upgrading. We have quite a lot of food, all things considered. Huh? Oh, and we finally hit the part of the game where we have things called factions. These are essentially like political parties, you can imagine. Every kind of nation actually has these. And they try to change your governing ethics here. We're xenophilic and spiritualist. The first two, so long as you have relatively high stability, actually support these. So pious traditionalists or spiritualists, and the alienated form are xenophiles. But later we may get those who wish to make our society more militaristic in nature, for example. While they may benefit from creating branch offices in our worlds, I believe we will also benefit from having an ally so close, and notably so small. It also seems like they found another world, quite luckily. This will become their new capital, and their goal is to get as many of their people off of it as possible. There's currently 35 people there that they have to move. Quite an expensive endeavor, to say the least. Hopefully we can get to that project before they cut us off. Oh, one of our leaders died. Unfortunate. A discarded cargo pod was left by someone in the upper atmosphere of Kosora 4 long ago. It has somehow escaped the malice of other spacefarers, and its decaying orbit means it would have been lost in the gas giant's crushing atmosphere within another few years. The tributary unsealed the pod. They found a stash of alien made out of precious metals. We will study their construction, hopefully speeding up our society a little. We have an edict I forgot to turn on, sadly. Edicts are long-term, or even short-term if you really wanted them to be, ways to make your empire better. They used to be quite an issue and be very expensive, but now we have these things called an edicts fund. More authoritarian societies have larger edicts funds, but in general they either make your nation, they make them work harder, they make them think smarter, they make them create certain things faster, research faster. Some of them are double-edged swords, however, especially the more authoritarian ones. Oh. It's worrisome, but that's okay. But they will add more stability at the cost of learning or something like that. But not every edict is good. And some are quite expensive. Some take upkeep from energy, some go into the edicts fund like these, although if you're over your edicts fund, it actually goes into your unity, which you use to unlock traditions. Generally, you don't want to give up on traditions or unity, as getting ascension perks is a big part of making your empire very powerful. So we will not be giving up on that anytime soon. My only hope is that the alignment doesn't get too powerful. Oh, they've even rivaled us. That's not good. How much of our fleet is outside of our borders at the moment as well? I'm to focus rather heavily on building up a starport here and adding defensive platforms around it. These are disgustingly powerful. We will avoid rivaling them until further notice as well. If we were to rival them back, they would likely get very angry at us. It's not looking great. I don't think they like it. So they have a subjugation casus belli from us, for us, because they see themselves as more powerful. Migration treaty? Fantastic. And because they're not part of our main species, they're not affected by the Void Dweller. While they live on planets, and would continue to live in the stars. All the portraits. No. Our portraits. This is why migratory deals good. If they live on places you cannot live, or it's disadvantageous for you to live on them, you can still benefit from having those planets. You just don't have to send your own people to. And sometimes you can't. Here's the Rack mandate. They live with the Uxlong T. That's a derelict shipyard there. How useful. The metallic orb has been opened up. Our hacking team has been able to use the outgoing signal as a gateway into one of the auxiliary CPUs of the sphere. We are receiving some data from it and can tell that it's been scanning the black hole Gargantua for a long time. Now lies within our grasp of understanding. And we will contact the processor. And it talks to us. It tells us that it is quite enjoyable to pass the time with pleasantries, is it not? We hope the rest of your kind is not like you were when you did not take kindly to small talk. You see, we don't get to enjoy conversation much anymore. You are well versed enough in the finer points of quantum programming to read us, so thank you. We are the Infinity Machine. Your words, not ours. Or has that not happened? Either way, it will eventually. Trust us. We are what we are, the ones who calculate. You call us the Infinity Machine. Or will, at least. It's not a truthful name, but is well suited to highlighting the ingenuity of our design. We will tell you our history now, as we've done many times before. Oh, right, we must convey it into words. That's rather new. Or is it? It's hard to keep track of you all. We were constructed in the crudest sense of the word, in order to solve a problem. We solved it. Then we needed more problems to solve. We now only have one left. We are calculating infinity. No more, no less. Or actually, it is way more and way less. That's the problem right there. We understand that your manner of life form won't understand, but that's all right. You never will, and we apologize. Or maybe we will do it. We are here to solve the infinity conundrum, the last calculation to ever be, the lone problem to take hold of our processors for more than a fraction of a galactic year. In case you haven't discovered that calendar yet, it's a very long time. For your kind, that is. Perhaps you can assist us. I don't know how to say that. I'm not asked. If we could borrow your most advanced processing unit as well as your brightest minds, we would be satisfied in finishing faster. We wish to know the answer. You already did. Or maybe that was the ones who came before. It matters not. The task shall finish, and we are excited. I will gladly give up some people for the cause. This fleet stance will be aggressive, Justin. We are currently expanding west as well as colonizing there. Good, we get clerk jobs now. We need some general expansion in the kind of second half of the early game. Oh, they want to enter defensive act. They actually have overwhelming fleet power to it. Wow. I'm rather surprised, actually. I've certainly been neglecting it, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised, huh? Go ahead and neglect it a little less. Sadly, it's a bit of an eternal arms race with these. Hopefully they'll let us calculate infinity before we steal that section from. Continue to not know what that little wanderlust investigator was. Start. Rather annoying, honestly. Make ourselves cooperative. Oh, fantastic. The colonies begun on Yulan. Or by Yulan. Time to focus on surveying. If there's no species down here, it won't be too bad. But if there is, we'll need to expand a lot faster than we currently are. more aliens. Greetings, Void Dwellers. As you no doubt know, we Zakplots are dedicated to the study and conservation of all forms of life in the galaxy. We have studied your species and determined that the Torchbearers is unlikely to last more than a few centuries at best. To ensure the continuation of the Void Dweller species should the worst befall your empire, we would like to acquire a part of your population for our endangered species reserve. We will construct a special reservation that perfectly mirrors the natural habitat of your species, and its population will be taken care of and protected from all harm, so you need not worry on their behalf. Sure. Some negative happiness, but I'd certainly volunteer for such a, a worthy cause as an individual. It seems like getting consumer goods for our ambassador's promises may be more difficult than I expected. It doesn't help that I'm building stuff to but, go ahead and make more civilian industries while we're at it. As well as some alloy ones. Pretty much everything costs consumer goods, which makes it rather difficult to handle, if I'm honest. I'm also not sure where I'm getting food. I'm not sure. I'm getting food. Farmer. How are you farm? Oh, right, the hydroponics farms. I forgot about those. That's fine. We'll need them later, if I'm honest. So I'm not against keeping for a little while longer. We've met the Holy Titan Empire. So these ones I actually don't know about because I believe they have one of my maid species under them. Well, the battle site's being dug out, which is good. The refined material has been uncovered, and while further study is needed, our initial impression is that this is the remains of a vast battle site. It appears that one site descended from orbit and was engaged by planet-bound defenders. Why there was no orbital bombardment and who the vector was remains unclear. Oh, it seems our governor is a substance to be. That's not. People suddenly think they're stronger than us again. Fantastic. Sadly, like I said, it's a bit of an infinite arms race. They'll always think they're better, they'll get their casus belli, and then you go, how about no? It can be rather annoying. The ST Clearwaters finds a disturbing tangle of technology hidden in a deep crater on the asteroid's surface. Evidently, someone has, with rather simple means, managed to stabilize a one-way wormhole, and Science Officer Blewett Matash quickly asserts that the asteroid is the exit point. The other end opens up somewhere in uncharted space some light years away from a black hole, and small quantities of dark matter are leaking, being siphoned through the wormhole. Whoever set this up seems to have abandoned the operation, which gives us dark matter, or the ability to exploit. On another world, we will be investigating a haunted 150, but I'm quite happy with the amount of discovery we already have. I'm not looking to push too much further. It also appears that our ships there they're good at keeping okay. That or they have other routes of expansion. We shall see. Hopefully this gather intelligence didn't do sadly. I'll do it again. Hopefully it'll get us to know at least how powerful they are. They're also belligerent. The ST Switched Bait crew has returned from a research mission visibly. They provide vague, often conflicting reports of what they encountered on the haunted sea. Though it bears no organs or port can be identified, the planetary seems to communicate with affect brain activity of the recipient. Each individual differently, it is entirely unknown what affects prolonged contact. Look into. Be of somehow unquestionably alive. Horrifying, thank you. Despite us being voidborn, it is quite habitable as well. It looks like our science is doing much better as well, which is good. Finding things out much faster. Or, now that we have that, we'll go ahead and declare rival. Get more influence. Influence is a rather big deal. Not having it rough. Oh, and it seems like our colony finished. Fantastic. We'll have to working on clearing out blockers, which stop us from building certain buildings, mining districts, and agricultural. It seems like a decent planet all around. Definitely more into the mining area. We'll go ahead and build one, and we'll wait just a moment to decide stuff. Seems like our automatic survey finally getting. I'll go ahead and try to wrap up some of the. Now everything's quite a bit negative, annoyingly. Our population can cover these. Oh, strangely, actually, the porter population is growing here as well. And our stability seems rather high, all things considered. This might just be an economic lull. We cannot bear to see you spend more of your limited time helping us, says the Gene. You have done your part. You were very helpful. Maybe the heat death of the universe won't happen before we finish now. The task remains, and we shall finish it. Now, your reward. Ooh, one of your positronic AI. Or has been granted to us. Then we are confused, since you already had it. But as far as we know, maybe we are making you weaker, spoiling you, but given enough time, we hope you will find your own way. Luck with that. Ah, that gave us +5 as is. Fantastic. Wow, that's a late technology too. We got essentially the same reward. Okay. A good reward is good regardless. Study some stuff. We're gonna send this one off to stuff. And hopefully we can keep their ships from making a starbase here. Seems to be working thus far. Another migration treaty. Now arid worlds are out of control. Very bad. Go ahead and make another colony here. This may also include their symbiotic race. We can't even. Regardless, calling it Avari. Aravari. Arvari? Ooh, they're actually not very good here. Oh, right, and we're not very, not doing great on everything. Like I said, we'll just have to wait. Sometimes all you need is more people to fill in the jobs. First I questioned why we have farms, and I wish we had more. Governor died as I was looking, wow. Oh, we have the Arachlitho worker camps. So these are the species I actually made. They are under the Holy Titan Empire. Their names kind of say it all. They're arachnoids who have a lithoid biology, so they're made of synthetic material. And since they're under the control of another, they run out of minerals. An abandoned observation post we will want to look into, naturally. And we fully dug one of the archaeological sites. The ancient battle site. Oh yes, the first one we found. We've concluded that the forces from the destroyers, a race of extra-dimensional nomads, invaded Far Porterton, which at the time belonged to those who resist, a coalition of several different species. From scattered records, we believe that the war was mostly fought elsewhere in the galaxy, and Far Porterton was an attempt by those who resist to establish a secret colony outside the reach of the destroyers. The outcome of the battle and the larger war remains unknown, but study of the wrecked war machines has yielded some valuable information. That's actually one of the endgame crises that are being hinted to. Otherworldly pan-dimensional destroyers. Below the surface of Inishnoor 2 lives a most peculiar organism. Scans and samples show that it is some sort of mycelium littered with spores. Compared to the traditional size of spores on our homeworld, these are massive. Their surface is a shimmering kaleidoscope, and the hues seem to change based on their surroundings. The strangest thing about them is that they seem to form a network capable of generating what the science crew believes to be a signal. The current emissions are very weak, but with some effort, it might be possible to find out where they lead. Certainly. We'll look into it. We are now starting another archaeological site called Desiccated. We have found signs of water over this world. For all we know, it should still be here. The temperatures are within normal range for liquid water to exist, and there is still an atmosphere, albeit tenuous. And yet everything here is dry, and what vegetation exists is parched. In addition, scans have revealed traces of another spacefaring civilization on the planet. The archaeological team will have two goals: find out what happened to the water and understand what other spacefarers have been doing here. Most hypotheses are already linking the two, and some in the team believe that this might be the work of water thieves. Not probable, but not impossible. Especially with toxoids just around the corner, whoever knows. It seems that the fungus could potentially be sentient in some way. And in fact, the spore colonies were talking to each other. The ST-switched bait crew has succeeded in isolating a signal embedded within the unusual pattern of interference in the Euthons. It seems to be a song, or a sonification of an advanced mathematical equation, to be precise. Plenty of research from it, though. The spores have ears. We have concerning reports coming from far Portitan. Upon further examination, it seems that the fungus was found, emitting a signal towards a location in the galaxy that we are unable to pinpoint so far. Telemetry and security analysis indicate that it is completely possible for the mycelium to be some kind of advanced spying organism. It is, however, worth noting that it is old. It's a fair chance that whoever engineered these spying mushrooms is not around anymore. But if they are, it might be best not to poke a sleeping predator. No more, I hope. Hopefully poor Porterton won't have to be obliterated. Yes, we failed our mandate, but to be fair, we're in a bit of an economic downswing recently. Not a great look, I know. Careful analysis of the mycelium and the signals showed that it was likely part of a network of similar organisms, possibly spanning across the galaxy as a whole and maybe beyond. While we do not know much, we discovered that as part of their network, this mycelium was also receiving signals from other places. Considering several factors, including the volume of data transferred, we do not think that the network is still in. It'd still be useful for us. The ST Switchbait's crew is reporting that they found something spectacular in Muthan 3. On the surface lies traces of an explorative expedition of another civilization. Left behind are some well-preserved documents and artifacts. The proposed action by Chief Science Officer Wolko Breen is to send the text findings to our homeworld for translation. There's also the possibility to sell them off to private investors. We will of course get a search. Are you kidding me? Only 7 months to translate as well. Not bad. And of course we have an abandoned gateway. Something that is intriguing. A vertical network of similar stations that at some point would have allowed for near instantaneous travel between different parts of the galaxy. Alas, these gateways are useless in their current state. Oh, their tech is actually pure. Interesting. Seems like we're slowly digging ourselves out of this hole, which is good. Oh, following the fungi. We are tracking the signal now. Well, it seems like we failed in translating the documents into them. Are they from Orval? It's pointing us to Orval, so I'm not sure. Perhaps those fungi have something to do with it. Oh, and look at that! Oh, lovely. We've successfully contained the alignment down to the south. Oh, good, honestly. Make another home for the rock rack here. They're both Arctic, actually. Although far more habitable, it should seem. Oh. Perhaps it's based on lithoids? The discovery on Mor Sretu of vast canyons filled with mushrooms provided us with the beginnings of an answer. The water is inside the mushrooms. They seem to span a large part of the surface of the world, all connected to some mycelium, which technically makes it a single organism, and one of the biggest we've ever seen. Some of the members of the team dubbed this humongous fungus the Fumungus. It looks like the mushrooms have been genetically altered and have completely taken over the ecosystem that once existed here. Their unbridled and accelerated growth was such that they absorbed most of the water that was present here. They subsequently entered a sort of dried-up dormant state in which most of the fungus is still alive, with water spread out across the whole organism. Finally get another tradition, pursuit of profit, and gain yet another ascension perk. Something definitely great about technological ascendancy. Plus 10% research is always good. Though amenities usage could be good right now. 8, 15, 11. Maybe we don't need it just yet. Focus on technological ascendancy while we can. It does look like we're slowly solving our own problems as well, which is good. I didn't want to start forcing people to work certain jobs. I do wonder what this mandate is. Minerals refining. Plus 30 excess by the end of I don't know if that's going to happen. It's though very cute. We can't see the population. I assume if we look into Galactic, we'll be able to know. Uxant. There it is, they are the serviles under the rack. Next up, I think we'll go for diplomacy to help us with our influence issue a little bit. Being part of a federation is much cheaper than having all of these defensive packs. And starting a federation with these two probably wouldn't be difficult. The only difference is that they're a little bit stronger than me, which may dissuade them from entering in one under me. That shouldn't be big. We're not trying to be the biggest federation, or biggest empire. Most of the North sector is under friendly control anyway, so clearly that's not a big issue. The alignment continues to be a rather large pain. Might lay a claim just in case, so that when war starts, we don't have anything to demand ourselves. The mural to handle it. Minding your own business. Deep within the crevice of the giant asteroid LR9800, we have found something astonishing. There is a mining key attached to the rock, digging itself into the vast depths of the asteroid. It stands abandoned, with no signs of who placed it there. If we cannot stop the machine, we might be able to learn. If we can stop the machine, we might be able to learn something about the technology used to build it. Of course. If we can do anything about it. Construction, perhaps? Oh, that's not good. Getting a construction ship there is not going to be possible, sadly. We could theoretically get a ship. Oh no, it's considered too hostile. Nope. Well, I guess that mining machine will dig itself into an asteroid and die. So that's cool. And the fields of Portaton even. They are really asking for. Oh, space pirates. We are Genlots, and we are known as the favorable servants of She of the Void, the all-seeing, ever-knowing, and above all vengeful supreme being that lords over space. It was she that bade us give up our ancestral planetary home aeons ago, to take up residence in her eternal domain, the cold depths of space, so that we could hunt unbelievers and appease her their sacrifice. Alas, the Doctrina Wars have sapped our strength, and we are now a divided people, struggling to divine the true path she would have us walk. Bitter favor can be won through the destruction of alien heretics, even at the behest of other heretics. Thus, many of our warriors are willing to fight your battles for pride. Religious pirates. Very, very horrifying. Fantastic. Translated the evil, and somewhere out there is a lot better for science. Alas, it is not very close, I suspect. And we're not making any well, we're making half an influence per month, which for all their efforts of secrecy, traces of the observer's clumsy meddling are everywhere on Uthan 4. Evidence suggesting the planet was inhabited by a psionically linked consciousness of planetoids that were in the midst of a religious awakening, when a mysterious alien race referred to as the Gatekeeper descended upon them without warning. From that point on, all the plants became obsessed with the idea of an impending apocalyptic event called the Grey Tempest. Their formerly peaceful religion soon spiraled into a suicide cult. Within a matter of months, one of the galaxy's most ancient lifeforms had wilted away for fear of a doomsday that would never come, despite repeated attempts of forced rehydration. Finds the abandoned observation post. No longer necessary. Hopefully when we get the Faravari up and running, these high-quality minerals will help us here. Not a lot of mining districts to be made, but enough, hopefully. And now that we have the mineral subsidies, we can actually build this building, which will make our mineral production further. At least here. Continuing desiccated. Deep in the heart of the mycelial forest, nestled in the canyons of North Strat. Hey Abyss, you were samurai, if I recall? It's been quite a bit, although I remember you reintroducing yourself a little bit later. Oh, that's aside for right now. We discovered some sort of bunker, long overrun by mushrooms. The team believes that it was built by the same species that genetically altered the mushrooms here. Large sections of the bunker have collapsed, and a lot of the equipment within it is likely broken beyond repair, but we have identified some sealed rooms that might hold exploitable resources. Notably, no alien remains have been found here. Maybe they abandoned the place, or else didn't leave behind any body parts that weren't absorbed by local wildlife. I do remember. I try my best. The study of pulsars seems to be an endless source of insights for our scientists, but rarely exhibit any signs of overly dangerous phenomena. This makes the recent reports on Aurelia all the more concerning. An initial scan revealed that the pulsar, in addition to its regular electromagnetic beam, is emitting a separate beam at a limited wavelength, which is only visible in the same system at shorter and shorter intervals. Whatever that means. According to initial calculations, the interval between the pulses will reach 0 at the date 50. What occurs then is open to speculation, but the lack of explanations for the pulse has instilled an almost superstitious fear in those who have studied it. Very interesting. 25 years from now. Oh, don't get mad at each other, Rock and Forderton. We don't have time for that. Oh. As the world seems to assume some kind of maximum security no colony. Oh, somebody else doesn't like the alignment either, which is nice. I wish my two friends would get along, though. It's not very useful to have you be enemies with each other. A strange mountain range? Or... Oh yeah, Aurelia. The strange pulsar? Yeah. Pulse germination. Something wicked this way comes. May restrict it at a later date, but we'll see. I didn't even know you could restrict dates. It's actually very useful. Not that I say that out loud. Our scientists have discovered something rather monstrous. The mountain range they scanned earlier was in actuality the outer membrane of a gigantic egg. It's uncertain what behemoth could lay such an egg and what horror could hatch from it. Cracking that motherfucker open, are you kidding me? Here's my thing. If it cracks open a gigantic dragon, that means that system is very hard for anybody to navigate, which means I don't have to build a starbase there. So if a giant Tiyanki wants to ravage the place, then so be it. Find out more about the prison complex. And the death of everyone due to asphyxiation. And the guards didn't seem to care, which isn't a great sign. Generally, I think prison guards should care about their inmates. At least a little bit, hopefully. I forgot influence was the main way to do spying. Makes it kind of difficult to expand further west here. Had a League Science base on P304, or P301. Fantastic, good start. Fighting a lot of our precursor stuff, which I'm very surprised about. We're finally going to deal with that breathing wormhole as well while we're at it. Oh, and we failed. Oh, right, so it was the asteroid thing. Sadly, the alignment isn't being very kind to us. Oh, one more month. As soon as it ticks over, we'll get the first one into diplomacy. Once we do this one, we can form a federation, which I'm sure my friends will agree with. As much as I'd prefer subjugating them. The points, anyway. Get close here. They're still rather against us, though. Or a commercial pact. Getting some influence back. Did somebody break a defensive pact with us? Very strange. Or maybe, oh, did defensive pacts just get cheaper? Not sure. Oh, diplomatic influence cost reduced by 50%. Oh, that's very good. We're continuing desiccated, or that weird living fungus. The bunker on Moore's Threat 2 was used to protect computing equipment, some of which appeared to be directly connected to the mycelium. Thankfully, we managed to reactivate several terminals and databanks. Breaking the encryption and deciphering the language used will take time, and the team has requested that several of our top linguists be sent here to help. Of course. Discover a precursor insight one. Oh, and there's one right next to us. Fantastic. And the breathing rift just closed. Oh. Halo was useful to us. Oh, here. We have our first destroyer type. And the Picket Ship 2.0. And there we go. Go ahead and build one of those for right. And our exotic gases are going up due to our population. Very, very minorly. Not very many, but still. And there it is, the Arachlitho are coming here too. It seems like those two mineral substance plants are mineral purification. Cool. So far, so well. Distance plays a big part in theirs. Hopefully once we get superior fleet power, we'll be able to take them in our fold. Quite surprisingly too, Porterton has stayed alive for this long. Although 31 people are still there, so hopefully they'll get them off that planet soon. Galactic omelets. Oh. Oh, right, the giant egg we cracked. Oh. Poor thing. Could have been great. Oh, plus 30 might just be doable, in fact. I'm kind of surprised. I'm going to slowly start the basis of my trade. We're going to make this a big trade node, as it has quite a bit of natural trade, and make this a defensive node. Every one of our trade nodes, it's a bit of a complicated one, but I'll briefly explain. But like this trades to Tempestua. Part of that is trade protection, which is how many ships and how many, as we look here, modules like batteries here we have. So it'll add 1 to the protection range, and the protection it gives is 5. So while we'll have one over here, it's pretty far from our main core of protection like nodes. So we'll put one here to make sure that these routes will go safely, as it were. Like I said, it's not very important to know what I'm talking about. I've played this game for quite a while, and there's still some people quite a bit better than me at it. I play a lot of multiplayer roleplay games, and I generally play quite weak because I find it quite fun. I'm actually a moderator on a Paradox Interactive roleplay server. I'm not as active as I'd like to be, but I'm slowly getting back into it. Oh hey, solar sails. I love solar sails. And we have new aliens to talk to. But yes, every time I play a game, it's quite fun. Oh, we need another on. Hopefully they'll look into first contact with us so we won't have to think about it too hard. Destroy a random or build. Oh, okay. Actually, yeah, here. Sleep spells. Bam. Ooh. And then we'll use that envoy to do something. No. I don't think abort will give us our stuff back, though. Yeah, never mind. We'll get that envoy free and we'll deal with that first contact. Big debates going on in my head. Oh. Unenterable? This 1.1k, we're at 532. Quite strong enough. Let's go ahead and put a lot into our fleet building fast here. I hate it when they just make random shifts for no reason. Alright, we're gonna upgrade. They're probably not going to attack Canopus. This Canopus's thing is, yeah, 1.9k, which they certainly don't have. Oh, Faravari has... Huh. Feral behavior. It's not the minerals. Violence on the rise. Doesn't look that bad. Right. We'll be studying an atmospheric anomaly. And I'm not planet. Why? Faravari would have any problem right now. Bloody bunch. I don't want to make precinct houses. I really think that I the sanctuary if we can't bring some unity. Station, yep, is the one in the middle. Oh, our governor died. Oh, not done. Not the problem. What an awful time to have that event. Whatever's occurring. Let's hope it's nothing major. It'll take 2 months for us to investigate. Ragged plains of shadows drift across Relshvaz. For 5A. They're not clouds, but rather organic material drifting through the upper layers of the atmosphere. Always fun to see perspective biology. Oh, savage spores. The investigation of the strange and wild behavior currently besettling Faravari has been completed. In the vast network of cave tunnels that permeates the planet's crust lives an enigmatic fungus. It grows all over the caves, floors, walls, and ceiling, and stretches out for thousands of miles. The fungus frequently releases spores that are vented out of the cave. For what purposes has not yet been established, but we know for certain that it causes primitive behavior in our species. We'll try to utilize it for now. I don't want to destroy a native species for nothing. Industrial facilities a bit over the outlets for the fungus-infested cave systems. Apart from filtering and regulating the spread of spores, these plants can also convert any excess spore clouds into useful exotic gases. Oh. It's a lesser evil option. So gas plant per engineering jobs 2, and +1 gas plant engineering job per 20 population. That's pretty good, wow. Pop growth speed is +20%, but it is an eternal -5% happiness. Probably not the prettiest factories. So it's good to know that issue solved. Oh, 1,120. Yeah, forget upgrading for right now. Let's go make sure they don't attack our anything. They're going northeast. Cool. We'll go over here. Oh, wait. We might be able to survive this hit. Oh, yeah, they're leaving. Okay, good. Got another first act. Certainly a civilization after my own heart. Have a ship here. Operative defects. Ooh. We'll conclude. New ambassador. Actually fulfilled the mandate. Oh, good. Hidari Chronicler. Torchbearers, greetings well met. Keepers of knowledge. Well. Oh, and they're all the way down there. Wow. Very good for me. That allows for a lot of free movement down south. Huge amounts of progress to be made there. Good, good, good. Oh. Thought they were moving towards it. Oh, they're getting larger too. A new archaeological site. The galactic community? Oh, of course. Wow, somebody already found most 75% of the civs? That's pretty crazy. You continue the desiccated thing. We have recovered valuable information from the databanks found in the bunker at Norstretsu. The databanks tell us that this was a sort of listening post. Apparently the aliens found a way to interpret the signals coursing through the mycelium and convert them into actionable intel. We do not understand how this might have been possible, but the team will now try to bring water from nearby ice asteroids to awaken the Fomungus again, and try to see what kind of data it transmits. Very good. Worry now is that we're sitting at 2.2, and we are sitting at about 1,400? Not a bad amount by any stretch. With the Federation. More ships and see what. Ooh, they're coming. Time to fight. And while that is occurring, we don't have quite the. Ooh. Seem to be doing okay. Oh no. Yeah, it looks like it might be lost there. A rather close fight. I'll give it that, but yeah. Not good. Hopefully we get some of our ships back. And since they're being forced in the warp, it shouldn't be a problem. They'll actually finally get back home, which is a good thing, but sadly we probably lost quite a few of them. Not ideal. Oh, the Rocket Industrial Empire. They're one of the smaller enclaves, and they're always quite fun. Ship hyperlane to I'll think on what to do with all that. And we found the, oh, okay, so we're gonna speed click these, because we have the founding of the galactic community. It's less like I'm really meeting a lot of them, and more like, there it is, galactic community has been formed. Strangely, mostly people to the east. So the Galactic Council is, or the Galactic Senate, I should, community, is pretty interesting and pretty fun. Yeah, they basically make laws that every member has to follow. Non-members don't have to follow, and you can opt out at any time, I believe. Although rarely do I ever do so. And you have embassies to nab. Like I said, it's not like I'm really meeting them, it's like I know them. The closest one are the Pilgrims of Hesic Prime. They're xenophilic spiritualists, and they believe in the holiness of their planet. Not really saying much. They're very whatever. The Parliament of Han Maria is an ancient species, a remnant, who used to be large, kind of like the first elite, but has since failed. Keep it up, as it were. Our closest neighbors. Seems like the Heshuk pilgrims are also quite wide-reaching. There they are, they're finally back home. Sad to see them in such a state, though. About a 6. Oh, we are low on housing, actually. Thankfully, mining also counts as housing. Yeah, it seems like just Far Porterton is having an issue. I'm also finally add an industrial district, which also adds housing, but lets us make alloys and consumer goods, which we need more of desperately. And it looks like we can finally extract that exotic gas, too. And our trade protection is rather good. Fantastic. That's all I can ask for, really. It sucks having pirates raiding all the time, and we'll see some eventually, but not right now, which is good. Alright, I wanted to move that envoy to do something else. I don't think I ended up doing very well with the sleeper cells, but that's okay. It's not really a spying nation, right? And I won't get spying techs until much later. And I don't know if I want to go down the subterfuge tree just yet. I'll think about it though. It might be useful if we continue to face harder foes. Like the alignment. Oh, they're really pushing too. Hope that our next major upgrade is going to be useful. There we go. That whole western half is largely cut off. And start building very nicely down there. Space automata from the Sin alien. Oh, they're robots. Hmm. As long as they hear our stories, I don't really mind. I know I'm fanatical spiritualist, but I generally think it's kind of silly when the game is, oh, artificial intelligence is outlawed. Oh, it's very silly to me. Senate in session. Let's see what the current resolution is. Security contractors. In the interest of galactic security, we should invest resources in independent security agencies. These highly trained and non-political professionals will help organize defense for the members of the galactic community. It sounds good and all, but I feel like it's just going to be used as PMCs. I don't really know if that's what we're going for here. Ooh, you're so tasty. Oh. Oh, I see. Yeah. Cool. They're very nearly strong enough. The next time they go out, we might try our hand at it. We continue on desiccated. It was the giant fungus that was used to spy. And it was put on this world that was, it eventually, like, outcompeted all other life and dried up the whole planet, sucked up all its water. But we took some ice comets and we are using them to kind of, wet them, as it were, hoping to give the fungus life again. So, the mushrooms and more Stretsu are starting to flourish again. With the help of several other ships, we had to tow several icy asteroids into orbit before bringing down chunks of them to various places on the planet to melt. It has been a long process, but it's finally beginning to bear fruit. With this, the computers begin to spill out small bits of data that seemed pretty random until we recognized activity from our home. In cooperation with teams on Storm Wall, a series of experiments has been conducted, and the only possible conclusion is that the mushroom has some limited awareness of what happens on other planets. While the data we have retrieved is not exploitable just yet, continued efforts to restore the mushrooms are expected to give us more results. Maybe they'll help us in spying later. We also see some ancient mining drones, which are the Sin aliens. Not really aliens, as much as they are just kind of a weird problem. Still very cool. And it's a quick one to research, which is good, huh? Oh, Embassy's Unity is going to be so good. Being xenophilic means you have a huge bonus with most species. So, we have embassies with most people already. I'm going to slow it down just a bit and take this moment to go use the restroom. I will be right back. Oh. I'll be right back now then. Alright, I'm back. Alright. Here's the old shroom. Mycelium listening array is finally operational. A significant supply of water has been brought from orbit to sate the ever-thirsty mushroom, and major upgrades have been made to the computing resources. And yet there is still so much we don't know about the mycelial network. The number of signals traversing the network proved surprisingly low, considering the quantity of information conveyed. The most prominent theory posits that the fungus exists across dimensions, where distances are not what we are used to. In any case, the fungus is in contact with its offspring across the galaxy, and these smaller colonies are able to relay data, which we can then interpret. But who else may have access to this network? There's a lot of data that we were not able to correlate to systems in this galaxy. Our more pessimistic scientists argue we may not just be the only ones listening, and that it may be reactivating the network we just revealed ourselves to anyone using it. Even all, we still don't know much about the fungus or about the previous species that tapped into it. It might be better just to leave it alone. But certainly not. We're gonna use it. Heck yeah. Got some code breaking in here. Get back in there. Let's go. We'll sit there and gather some for a bit. There we go. Hopefully that'll give us the data. They're not exactly weak themselves. I finally got back their chip. Oh. There's... There is something else that allows us to change how we do war later, but I'll have to look for it. Might be under supremacy or something. But let's just use, like, do we do hit and run tactics? Do we do deep defense? Stuff like that. We'll get to it eventually, though. Right. We'll go back to a decent speed. I kind of forgot I was on -2. I was very confused why everything was taking so long. That's okay. I was like, I like slow, but this is ridiculous. I tend to dislike it when you get too close to them, though. Avoid it for now. They are patrons. They are. There nowhere else to go, really? Oh, because this. Okay. Rather annoying. I'll hold it for right now. they actually went to a different one. Maybe this is our chance to get a Ranma? Oh, they moved east. Okay. Did they lose? Oh, they did lose a bit. They lost a really awkward amount, though. Not too big of a deal. The ill-merited mantle hold. Gonna get on my boy Rack. Oh, good. Well, while we're here, they'll accept some form of support. 23 and would require quite a bit of influence. The form of federation, but they seem against allows wars of aggression. Oh, come on. Here, we'll see if that helps. We'll go from 120 unity per month to 157 with all the stuff we have. Very good. This sort of okay, cool. And we have to think now. Here the what could be a research cooperative? I mean, what else is telling stories than that, right? Something that emphasizes the storytelling of it all. Like Teachers of the North, or Void Walkers is cute. After all, those who walk in the Shroud are called Shroud Walkers. Okay, okay. Void Walkers. Or Void Walker Cooperative. Compact? Void Walker Compact? Covenant. It adds a spiritual energy to it. The Void Walker Covenants. That's how you spell Covenant, right? I'm a Halo fan, I should know those. Coven? Haunt. Yeah, that looks right. Yes. Covenant. Covenant. Yeah, okay. There we go. And the focus is on technology. It's the most important thing, after all. Knowledge. Oh, we also met the Curator Order rather quickly afterwards. Our ancient order was established aeons ago by the various galactic powers in ascendancy at the time. We were dedicated towards the preservation of all knowledge in an effort to safeguard the galaxy from descending into yet another dark age of mass extinctions and barbarism. We failed. Few of us remain today, but we are no less committed to our sacred mission than our predecessors were. Fantastic. Well met. Another artisan troop. Alright. They're about art and making money, so a little different. A new federation. But history record that on this day, the governments of the Torchbearers and the guilds of Old Porterton signed a treaty of federation as founding members of the Voidwalker Covenants. They will now face the future as firm allies. This research cooperative will provide the scientists of all its member states with new opportunities to pool their knowledge. Fantastic. I haven't actually had one like this. Free and automatic research agreements between all Federation members. Fantastic. Lets me save up a lot of cash. I'm a little less worried with the galactic communities. We'll take an envoy from there. Level 2 will give us academic contacts, which federal research agreements have their research speed increased by 5%. Full Infantrizement Network. What is that? I'll have to look at that in a second. Real-time peer review, 5% research speed, and then research alternatives from Executive Research Branch. Oh, and we're both gray. Fantastic. I just noticed that. Excavate site and research product. Now we can go back to studying. It's still propose subjugation as well, which is interesting. Although in Federation, yes, minus 1,000. Succession type is really know what being the leader gives us any. Our only counters are, wow, the fanatical spiritualist and materialist teaming up over here. Kinda cool. Kinda like that. I think the obsession with knowledge is thing regardless. Offer association status. Oh, Shantari Cartel? Sure. I don't mind. The Shantari Cartel are essentially space pirates. And association status isn't anything major, so it's whatever. I wish they could just be friends. Oh. Seems like they've split up a little. Interesting. Yeah, sadly the Portertons and the Rock Mandate don't really want to be friends, it seems like. Our archaeological mission to the First League Naval Base has concluded. Recovered the emblem of the 28th Order Outer Rim Fleet. A mid-sized task force strives for the defense of trade routes. It was apparently their home port. Oh, that's an awful place to have your home port, but sure. Very cool to have. And more destroyed. Like this mining world is also running out of an easy fix as always. Oh, yes, I was gonna look at affection. Full enfranchisement. Ah, they want to give me egalitarian. Oh, oh, sorry. There it is. Movement? Sure, I don't care. Do I have something? Settlement? Oh, prohibited, sure. There we go. That should please them. They pass security contracts. Copy. Ah, on those again. All good. Armada. Ooh. Oh, right, right. Their indolent warlords are still there. Oh, right, because they're, one of the few advanced starts. So they're pretty strong for quite a while. Not impossible to catch up. In gentle orbit around the massive AT floats a portable databank scooped by the ST clutters. It is found to contain text in some alien language. The vocabulary is not wholly unfamiliar, but the syntax is disconcertingly complex. Sure, we'll analyze it at the front wall. Hmm. Oh, time to finally put them into aiding research. I don't think I need to explore too much more now. Oh, the prince, legible. The text. Its title roughly translated to regional ruler is written in a presumably ancient dialect of the Arachno-Lithian tongue spoken in the Arachno-Litho worker camp. The text is doubtlessly of some historical import to them and might contain valuable. Return to their proper owners. We understand that you have found the only surviving copy of the Prince, a text significant historical and cultural importance of our people. We thought it I hate that word. Do you know that? Irrevocably, irrevocably lost to pirate raids years ago. But we are grateful to see that it's found a way into civilized hands. Will you return it to us? We will gladly transfer energy. And a higher opinion. And a favor. How nice. Oh, they don't want to give us sensor links, huh? Okay. I can. Oh, we must get it from the Iraq with it. Rather strange. little bit. Oh. 2 going at once is pretty expensive, but honestly, I think we should be okay. Outside of a rather strange issue with this stuff, the consumer goods, not too bad. We still have 2 more star bases we can work with trade-wise, which is good. I might upgrade this one. And I may also make this one... I'd make it a trade node, except planets generally act as their own trade nodes. As well as, to an extent, their own defense. So I don't think it'll be that big of a... gas giant structure. Present dark and lifeless interior of the space station almost succeeds in hiding the fact that it must have been designed as some kind of luxurious pleasure palace. There are seemingly endless rows of rusty slot machines. Oh, there goes Portaton. And amidst it all, thousands of bodies. Dead, partially mummified aliens of at least a dozen different species can be found everywhere, but most of the bodies are clustered around the empty escape pod bay. Let's see, buzzword standardization. We have to enable our enterprises to work seamlessly with one another, streamlining strategic communications empowers our agent. Oh, and there goes another one. Trade is okay, but the priest upkeep is kinda rough. I'll go against it, but it shouldn't be a big deal, honestly. Oh, there we go. We'll get some favors while we're at it. Always use, especially later game. If you build up a ton now, it should be easier to get what you want across later. Alright. Well, 2.5 hours later, and 40 years in. Not 40 years in, 20 years in? 20 years in. Got 2 colony ships out, Federation. Pretty good progress, all in all. We're gonna push some funny little buttons on these last few decisions here, just so when I come back I won't forget. And yeah, we'll go ahead and save it there. Call it Blade Walker. But yeah, good a stopping point as any, I figure. Hopefully I'll come back to it later. I know I'll be playing the game in the meantime, off stream, because that's just my awful curse, but I'll try to save this one for streaming. But yeah, see y'all later.